Alrighty, hello, welcome back to another tutorial here. So yeah, as I covered in the last little bit of the last video there, I said we are going to talk about concatenation and strings. Um, and we're just going to jump right into it. So we have A is equal to dog, B is equal to cat. So two strings. We have two strings here, right? So think about it like this. When you add two numbers, like 2 plus or 2 plus 2, you're going to get 4, right? Think of it like this. You can do the exact same thing with strings. So A plus B, what do you think it's going to print out? You'd be like, oh, you can't combine strings. So it doesn't go on top of another. Like 2 plus 2 is going to give you 4, right? It's not going to go on top of the other number. Think of it just adding to the end of the other number or the other string. So A is equal to dog, B is equal to cat, dog plus cat. That's it. Dog, cat. You want to add a space at the end, just add a space to one of them. So dog, cat. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. Um, but yeah, pretty simple there. You could also do some string multiplication. So say you want to do dog times 2. So as we learned, our multiplication is a star. So A times 2 would be dog times 2, which would be the same as saying dog plus dog in this case. So what's that going to give you? Dog, dog. Pretty simple, pretty simple. Now we have something a little more complicated. Well, not really, no. So whenever you're counting like elements in a string, so in this case we have dog. So dog. So instead of going dog is at index 1, O is at index 2, and the G is at index 3, you don't do that in Python or really any programming language. When you're looking for a specific index, you're going to be starting it at 0. So D in this case is going to be equal to 0, O in this case is going to be equal to 1, and then G in this case is going to be equal to 2. So to demonstrate, to access a specific index in a string, you would just use square brackets and then type in the number you're looking for. Let's say we want D. So where's D? As we talked about earlier, D is with 0. So type in 0, print it, you're going to get D. You also do 1. Now, what happens if the index you're looking for is not existent? You might have guessed it's going to throw an error. So let's say, because we have 0, 1, 2, 3 is non-existent. Traceback error. String index is out of range. It's going to throw an error. Now, what if you threw a negative number? What do you think is going to happen? It's going to give you the last element in the index or in the string. So, yeah. Pretty self-explanatory. So in this case, what would negative 2 get you? Think of it starting at negative 1 and going backwards. So negative 2 is going to give you O now. So now G is going to be negative 1, O is going to be negative 2, and then D is going to be negative 3. Pretty simple stuff. Yeah. That's pretty simple. Now we're going to go over slicing. So what does it mean to slice a string? It's used to extract multiple characters in a string or a substring. So like a string, and then you have a smaller string of that string. So a substring. So think of it like this. So when we want to slice dog. So remember this order right here. Remember 0, 1, 2. So we have A. We use the same brackets, all right? So we want to start at index 0, which is going to be D. Add a semicolon. Or just colon. Add the 2 little dots or whatever. But Yeah, add that. So we're going to start at D. So we're going to make a substring of the string, and we're going to go until we hit 1. Print this out. What do you think it's going to get? D. Why is that? Why are we only going to get D? When I specifically said start at D and grab this one as well. That's because you don't include the last element here. So it'll go up until this element. If we include a 2 now, we should get do, which is what we want. So just like that. Now we can get a little more complex. Say we want to get, let's stick with 2, but let's this little third little box here, I guess you could say. What is this going to do? So if you want to increment each little thing by a certain amount, say you want to increment it by 2. So every second element. So you go from 0, and then you grab every second element after that until you hit the boundary of this. So in this case, let's just call doggo. I probably should use a better example. Let's call, I don't know, it's a really long word. Let's just call Jensen is cool. Anyways, so we're going to go start at 0. So 0, 1, 2. So let's increase this to, let's just say 5. Right? So hypothetically, we're going to get the first one. Right? 0. We grab the first one. Then we're going to skip 2 elements because of this, right? The 2. So 0, 1, 2. We're going to grab the next one, which is going to be N. And then again, we're going to skip that one and grab E. And that should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should get J, N, E, if I did that right. I might have messed up there, but yeah, J and E. There we go. So you could also do it by 1 and grab all of the elements up until 5, but not including 5. So you could just get rid of this in this case, or not even have it, and it'll do the same thing. But if you want to go from backwards now, so how do you think you do that? The -1. There you go. So what do you think this is going to do now? The -1. So we're going to go at 0 till 5. So now in this case, we're going to go backwards, right? Why do you think we're getting no answer? Why do you think we're going to get nothing there? We have to specify our starting point. So if we start at 0, we can't go anything past that. That's it. So we have to start at 5 and go until 0, but not include 0. So now we're going to get everything from 5 to 1 in this case. So we're going to start at 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So N, all of these, and then we're going to stop at 1. So up to here. But yeah, that's just slicing in Python there. But just the way to start to think about it is this is the start, this is the end, and this is how you increment. But yeah, pretty simple stuff. Think that's a decent amount of information for this little tutorial here. But yeah, I will continue with strings in the next tutorial. But yeah, if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.